I warned you, the powerful voice thundered across the small conference room. Charles Cole leaned forward, eyes cold as steel. If you don't walk away from my son, you'll lose everything: your job, your future, even the roof over your daughter's head. Olivia sat frozen, her hands trembling under the table. Every word struck like a blade. She thought of Chloe's smile, her mother's fragile health, and Nathan's steady eyes. Could she risk it all for love, or would she be forced to sacrifice her own happiness to protect the people she loved most? What Charles didn't know was that this moment would spark a confrontation that could tear his family apart or finally free Nathan from a lifetime of control. Stay with us, because what happens next will shock you, move you, and change the way you think about love, loyalty, and second chances. When the truth finally came out, the silence in Preston and Hale was deafening. The security footage revealed the necklace had slipped behind the counter when Melissa Grant hurried to help a client. Olivia Bennett had never touched it. Diana Rhodes, the manager, returned pale-faced, her voice clipped. It appears there was a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. Olivia's hands shook as relief washed through her body, colliding with a deeper, colder rage. She had been stripped bare in front of strangers, her dignity shredded, while cameras, proof, and reason had sat ignored until a stranger spoke up. I told you, she said quietly, her voice steady even as her heart pounded. You never even looked at anyone else. You only looked at me. And then she turned and walked away, leaving her uniform folded neatly in the locker room, never once looking back. Out in the crisp Chicago air, she finally broke. Her hands trembled as she held onto the brick wall outside the staff entrance. She had no job, no income, and no idea how she'd keep Chloe in school or pay for her mother's medication. The humiliation replayed in her mind, every whisper, every judgmental glance. You all right? The voice came softly from behind. Olivia spun to see him again, the stranger who had stopped everything. He leaned against the doorway, calm, steady, his presence grounding her in a way she couldn't explain. Why did you do that? She demanded, her voice sharper than she meant. Why involve yourself in something that wasn't your problem? Because it was wrong, he said simply, and because someone had to. She shook her head, looking away. People don't do that. Not anymore. He studied her for a moment, then extended his hand. Nathan Cole. She hesitated before taking it. His grip was warm, firm, grounding. Olivia Bennett. Let me give you a ride home, he said. The least I can do. No, thank you, she replied quickly, though her legs still shook from adrenaline. But when he added gently, it's just a ride, Olivia, something in her softened. For once, she allowed herself to accept. The car was an older black sedan, simple, almost modest. No designer suits, no flashy watches, just a man who seemed comfortable in his own skin. The drive was quiet, Olivia giving directions in short bursts until they stopped in front of her small, aging house on the south side. As she reached for the door handle, Nathan spoke. What happened to you today shouldn't define you. Don't let them make you believe you're less than you are. She didn't answer, afraid her voice would crack. Instead, she stepped out, clutching her worn satchel, and walked up the steps. But as she turned the key in the door, she glanced back. Nathan was still there, watching, not pitying, not judging, just seeing her. And that look unsettled her more than all the whispers in the store. The days that followed blurred into exhaustion. Olivia scoured job listings, filled out applications at diners, small offices, anywhere that would take a cleaning lady, a cashier, anything to keep food on the table. Chloe would chatter about school, showing drawings of our family, which always included her grandmother and herself, but never her absent father. Evelyn, hiding her pain behind soft smiles, urged Olivia not to worry, though the older woman winced with every step. Money drained quickly. Every purchase was a calculation, eggs or milk, medicine or bus fare. One afternoon in the grocery store, Olivia stood staring at a carton of butter, torn between it and the bread already in her cart. That's when she heard it again. Olivia. She turned, her stomach tightening. Nathan stood there, casual in jeans and a gray t-shirt, his cart half full. He looked like any man shopping after work, but the intensity in his eyes was anything but ordinary. You're following me now? She asked, lightly masking embarrassment. Not at all. Just lucky timing. His gaze dropped briefly to her cart, bare essentials, all the cheapest brands, and she saw the flicker of understanding in his eyes. You find work yet? Olivia exhaled. Not yet. He hesitated, then said, "Can I buy you a coffee? Or maybe something to eat I don't need." But right then her stomach growled audibly. Her cheeks flamed. Nathan didn't laugh, didn't gloat. He only said softly, "I'd really like it if you'd say yes." Minutes later, they sat in a small diner, the kind with cracked red booths and a waitress who knew the regulars by name. Olivia clutched her coffee like a lifeline, refusing to order more, but Nathan insisted she take a sandwich too. "Tell me about yourself," he said. "There's not much to tell," she murmured. "I don't believe that." She glanced at him, measuring him. Something in his steady gaze made lying impossible. So she told him about Evelyn's years as a nurse, about Chloe, about leaving college halfway through because someone had to pay bills, about the father who had disappeared before Chloe's first birthday. Nathan listened, without interrupting, no judgment, no pity, just silence and the occasional nod. When she finished, he leaned back. "You're stronger than you realize," Olivia scoffed softly. "Strong doesn't pay the bills." "What if I could offer you something?" She blinked. "Like what I run a consultancy. We're looking for someone reliable, organized. It's not glamorous work, mostly admin files, keeping things straight, but it pays well, better than what you had at Preston and Hale." Her chest tightened. "You don't even know me." "I know enough," he replied calmly. "I saw you under pressure. You didn't break. You didn't scream or beg. You stood tall. People like that are rare." She stared at him, torn between hope and suspicion. "Why me? Because everyone deserves a chance," Nathan said. "And I think you're ready for one." The offer gnawed at her all night. Could she trust him? Was this some trick, or was it against all odds, a door cracking open where every other had slammed shut? The following week, Olivia found herself in a sleek office tower in downtown Chicago. Her hands trembled as she signed forms with Diana Rhodes's mocking words still echoing in her memory. She expected to feel out of place, but instead she discovered something else, her quiet habit of noticing details. Within days, she found a better way to file client records, saving hours of work. She reorganized supply lists, fixed messy schedules. Colleagues began to glance at her with curiosity instead of dismissal. And Nathan. He never once treated her like a charity case. He treated her like she belonged. For the first time in years, Olivia walked home with her head high. Chloe hugged her, fiercely squealing, "Mommy has an office job." Evelyn's eyes filled with tears, whispering, "I always knew you were meant for more." But beneath the joy, Olivia couldn't shake the gnawing thought nothing good in her life had ever lasted. And as she looked out her window that night, she wondered what price would come with this new beginning. Thanks for watching. Sorry for the interruption, but we hope you will help us improve our content in the future. Do you think Olivia should trust Nathan completely or be cautious of his sudden kindness? If you were offered a job by a stranger who once saved you, would you take it or walk away? What do you think will happen next when Olivia begins working in Nathan's company? The weeks passed and Olivia Bennett's life began to change in ways she hadn't dared to dream. Each morning she dressed in clean, pressed clothes, not a uniform but professional attire that made her feel like she belonged in the glass-walled offices of Nathan Cole's consultancy. Each evening she returned home to Chloe and Evelyn with a lightness in her step she hadn't felt in years. She was good at the work, better than she'd expected. Her sharp eye for detail, honed through years of survival, helped her streamline the company's filing systems, improve schedules, and even propose new methods for organizing client data. Colleagues who once looked at her with curiosity now sought her advice. For the first time in years, Olivia felt seen, but with new beginnings came new storms. One late afternoon, she was called into a small conference room. Sitting at the table was a man she had never met before, yet instantly recognized from Nathan's features: silver hair, piercing eyes, and the kind of tailored suit that seemed stitched from power itself. Charles Cole, Nathan's father. He didn't waste time. "You're Olivia Bennett," he said flatly, as though announcing a fact he found distasteful. "I know everything I need to know about you. Single mother, no degree, cleaning lady, a woman carrying baggage my son cannot afford." Olivia's throat tightened. She had faced cruel words before, but none so cold, so precise. "My son Charles," continued, "has a future to protect, a family name, responsibilities. You are a distraction. And if you care about your daughter and your mother, you will step aside before you drag him down." Olivia sat frozen, her hands gripping the edge of the chair. Every word was a blade. "I didn't ask him for anything," she whispered. "Then it should be easy to walk away," Charles said, his tone sharp. "Consider this your warning. Stay away from Nathan, or I will ensure you lose more than just this job." When he left the room, Olivia stayed seated, trembling. She thought of Chloe's laughter, Evelyn's fragile health, and Nathan's quiet smile when he looked at her. Could she risk losing it all? Could she gamble with her family's survival just because her heart wanted something she wasn't sure she deserved? That night, she sat on the porch long after Chloe was asleep and Evelyn had gone to bed. She replayed every humiliation she had endured every time the world reminded her she didn't belong. And now Charles Cole had drawn a line in the sand. The next few days, she avoided Nathan. She turned down his offers of coffee, politely refused his rides, claimed she was too busy with work. Nathan noticed. One evening, he arrived at her home unannounced. Chloe ran to him, squealing, "Nathan, come see the tomatoes we planted." Evelyn greeted him warmly, but Olivia's chest tightened. She stepped outside with him onto the small porch. "What's going on?" he asked quietly. "You've been distant." "Did I do something wrong?" Olivia's eyes stung. "You deserve someone better, someone without baggage, someone who won't ruin your future." Nathan studied her, his expression darkening. "My father spoke to you, didn't he?" She turned away, silence betraying her. "What did he say?" Nathan pressed his voice low. Olivia's composure crumbled. "He threatened me, Nathan. He said if I didn't leave you alone, he'd make sure I lost everything. I can't risk Chloe or my mom. They depend on me." Nathan's jaw clenched, fury flashing in his eyes. "He doesn't get to decide my life. Not anymore." Before Olivia could stop him, Nathan stormed off into the night. The next day, in his father's towering downtown office, Nathan faced Charles Cole with a fire Olivia had never seen in him before. "You've controlled me my entire life," Nathan said, his voice sharp. "Where I studied, who I worked for, even who I dated. But it ends now. Olivia and her family are not your concern. If you threaten them again, you'll lose more than my respect, you'll lose me." Charles rose from his chair, his power radiating from every gesture. "I built this empire for you. Do not throw it away for love," Nathan cut in. His voice didn't waver. "For the first time, I found something real. And if that means walking away from everything else, then so be it." The silence that followed was thick with decades of unspoken battles. But Nathan didn't wait for permission. He turned and left his decision final. That evening, he returned to Olivia's home, where she stood on the porch, waiting, fear and hope battling in her eyes. "What did you do?" she whispered. "What I should have done years ago," Nathan replied. "I chose you. I chose Chloe. I chose Evelyn. I chose a family that accepts me for who I am not, for the name I carry." Her tears came freely then, but this time they weren't born of fear. They were born of relief, of finally being chosen, not as a burden, but as a partner. Life didn't transform overnight. Bills still came. Evelyn's health still needed attention. Chloe still asked endless questions about school. But something fundamental had shifted. Nathan wasn't just visiting anymore. He was part of their lives. He read Chloe bedtime stories, helped Evelyn in the garden, and filled Olivia's kitchen with laughter she thought she'd never hear again. One evening, Chloe drew a picture and proudly showed it to Olivia. 4 stick figures stood hand in hand in front of their little house. A tall man with dark hair stood beside a woman with long blonde hair, and next to them, a little girl and an older woman with silver strands. Above it, Chloe had written in uneven letters, "My family." Olivia folded the paper, carefully pressing it to her chest. For the first time in her life, she believed it. The tomatoes in the garden ripened. Bills were paid on time. Evelyn's smile grew steadier. And Olivia, who had once walked invisible through the glittering halls of Preston and Hale, now stood tall in a life she had helped rebuild with dignity, with love, and with the kind of strength no one could ever take away again. This wasn't a fairy tale ending. It was something better. It was real. Thanks for watching. Sorry for the interruption, but we hope you will help us improve our content in the future. Did this ending make you feel hopeful for Olivia's future? If you believe everyone deserves a second chance, comment 100 down below. Tell us, from which country are you watching this story today? And don't forget to share this video so more people can feel the hope too.